I should have known something was off the moment Jessica walked into our home that evening. There was something in her eyes, a calculated coldness that she masked behind her perfectly practiced smile. My son David had been dating her for 8 months, and tonight was supposed to be special. The night he would officially introduce his future bride to the family. "Dad, this is Jessica," David said, his face glowing with pride as he wrapped his arm around her waist. "The woman I'm going to marry." I extended my hand, forcing a smile. "Welcome to our home, Jessica. I've heard so much about you." Her handshake was firm, but her eyes never quite met mine. "Thank you, Mr. Harrison. David talks about you constantly." The words sounded rehearsed, empty of any genuine warmth. As we sat down for dinner, I watched her carefully. She complimented my wife's cooking with theatrical enthusiasm, laughed at David's jokes a little too loudly, and asked all the right questions about our family business. But something felt wrong, like watching a performance where the actress had memorized her lines but forgotten to feel the emotions behind them. Then it started. Small comments at first, almost imperceptible digs disguised as innocent observations. "Oh, Mr. Harrison, you must have such interesting stories from your construction days," she said, cutting her steak with deliberate precision. "David told me you used to work with your hands before you made something of yourself." My wife shifted uncomfortably beside me. David, oblivious to the subtle insult, beamed at his fiancée. "Dad built this whole company from nothing, Jess. Started as a laborer and now he employs over 200 people." "How inspiring," Jessica replied, her smile sharp as a blade. "It's amazing how some people can rise above their humble beginnings." I felt my jaw tighten, but I said nothing. This was my son's night, and I wouldn't ruin it. Not yet. As the evening progressed, her comments became bolder. She questioned my education, made snide remarks about our quaint family traditions, and even had the audacity to suggest that perhaps David deserved someone more refined than what our family could offer. Each barb was delivered with such calculated sweetness that David remained completely unaware of the poison behind her words. But I knew something she didn't think I knew. 3 weeks earlier, I had been having lunch at a downtown restaurant when I overheard a conversation at the table behind me. A woman was laughing with her friends about her project, a wealthy boyfriend whose father she planned to humiliate and destroy. She described in detail how she intended to marry into money, then systematically turn the son against his family to secure her position and inheritance. The woman had been facing away from me, but when she finally turned around, I saw her face clearly. It was Jessica. Now, watching her perform her cruel theater at my dinner table, I felt a cold rage building inside me. She thought she was so clever, so untouchable. She had no idea that I had been quietly investigating her for weeks. I knew about her previous relationships with wealthy older men, the restraining orders, the suspicious circumstances surrounding her last boyfriends will change before his sudden death. "You know, Jessica," I said quietly, setting down my fork, "I've been meaning to ask you about something." Her eyes flickered with the first hint of uncertainty I'd seen all evening. I was having lunch at Carmichael's restaurant a few weeks ago, and I couldn't help but overhear an interesting conversation. Someone was discussing their plans to marry for money and destroy a family from the inside. I leaned back in my chair, watching her face drain of color. The strangest thing was, the voice sounded so familiar. The dining room fell silent except for the ticking of our grandfather clock. David looked confused, glancing between his fiancée and me. My wife's hand found mine under the table. Jessica's mask finally slipped. The sweet smile vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't you?" I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table. "Because I have a recording of that entire conversation, along with some very interesting information about your past relationships and their unfortunate endings." The color completely drained from her face. David stared at her in growing horror as the truth began to dawn on him. "You see, Jessica, you made one crucial mistake," I continued, my voice steady despite the fury burning inside me. "You underestimated a man who built everything from nothing. I didn't get where I am by being naive or trusting. When someone threatens my family, I protect them. By any means necessary." Jessica stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "This is ridiculous. David, you're not going to believe these paranoid accusations, are you?" But David was looking at her with new eyes, seeing through the performance for the first time. "Is it true?" he whispered. She grabbed her purse, her composure completely shattered. "I don't have to listen to this." She headed for the door, then turned back with venom in her voice. "You'll regret this, old man." "No," I said quietly, standing to face her. "You will. Because if you ever come near my son again, if you ever even think about contacting him, that recording goes to the police, along with everything else I've discovered about you." The front door slammed behind her, leaving us in stunned silence. David slumped in his chair, his head in his hands. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I had no idea." I placed my hand on his shoulder. "Son, sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones we trust completely. But that's why you have family, to watch your back when you can't watch it yourself." That night, I held my wife close and felt grateful for the instincts that had served me well in business and in life. Jessica had tried to mock me, to tear down everything I'd built. But she had forgotten one fundamental truth. You don't survive in this world by underestimating your opponents. She had no idea who she was really dealing with. And now she never would.